Hello everybody and welcome to the Brute Force Academy. What we're going to be doing in today's video is talking about what React is and why it's special. Okay, so to begin, React is a front-end framework that we can use to build fast and scalable single-page applications. Okay, and we'll talk about what single-page applications are in a second. But if you just want the TLDR version of everything I'm about to say right now, it allows us to make applications that run very fast in the browser, and the code scales very well as the project gets bigger and bigger. Our code base doesn't feel impossible to maintain and manage, even on a large scale, okay? And on top of all that, it's a very in-demand technology, okay? People are hiring for it. For good reason. It is a great framework to build with, whether you're trying to apply for jobs or do some freelancing or whatever your goal is. Okay, so I mentioned that it was a framework for building single-page applications. But what does that mean? Well, to demonstrate this, let's take a look at an example. Okay, here we are on the Home Depot website. This is an example of what a multi-page application is. Okay, so if you take a look at their icon up here, whenever I click on a new URL on the page, we can see that the page is refreshing. Okay, so what's going on here? What's going on is that whenever we click on a new URL on the page, our browser goes to the Home Depot web service and it says, hey, excuse me, Home Depot web service, can you give me that HTML page for the DIY projects and ideas? And the service says, okay, here you go. Here's the web page, right? They're sending back an HTML page. And then if we go to a different URL, the same process happens. We ask the web service for a web page, and the web service says, here you go, okay? So we have different pages that we send whenever we make different requests to the server. Okay, so how is a single page application different from a multi-page application? Well, if you take a look at the icon right here at the top, we saw that when we were on the Home Depot website, it would refresh every time we went to a new URL. Okay, but you can see that when we click on different buttons right here and we go to different URLs, we're not seeing the icon refresh every single time like we did with the Home Depot website. So how is this possible? Well, the way a single page application works is it basically just sends you back one single HTML page. And along with that one HTML page comes a JavaScript application that basically determines what to put inside of that HTML page at any given point in time. Okay, so instead of going back and forth with the server and having to resend data all the time, we really just send one HTML page that we can take elements in and out of as we need to. Okay, so that's part of what makes a single page application so powerful. There's a lot less data being sent back and forth through the server, which means less bandwidth on the user and less loading times. The other thing that makes React great is it's able to re-render elements on the DOM with lightning fast speed. Okay, so before React came around, the DOM was in charge of re-rendering everything. And for a DOM to do this on its own, it could get pretty expensive. So something that looks like a very simple re-render could cause a chain of other elements being re-rendered. Okay, and this had a pretty negative impact on performance. If you were building a web page with hundreds of elements, or even thousands, you could see how it could lead to a pretty slow and janky experience. Okay, React is here to save the day with something they call the virtual DOM. Okay, so underneath the hood, what React does is it creates a copy of all of the DOM elements in JavaScript. And then from there, what they do is they run a difference algorithm to determine what part of the page changed. Okay, and then once they figure out what part of the page changed, they're able to go through and just re-render that one little piece, as opposed to re-rendering a bunch of other DOM elements unnecessarily. Okay, so in a nutshell, there's less data being sent back and forth to the server, and it's able to re-render things on the screen super fast. The other reason why it's a good thing to learn is because it's scalable and maintainable. okay? And they accomplish this through the use of reusable components. So a component you can think of as a custom HTML tag or maybe even an HTML variable. So if you take a look at this little example that I got from the Airbnb website right here, if you take a look at these little cards right here, you see they all kind of look the same. They have an image, they have some bold text, they have some regular text, okay? And just the content inside of them is different. If we were coding in just regular HTML, in order to get this outcome, we would probably have to create an image tag and maybe an H2 tag and maybe a paragraph tag to get all of these elements, okay? But what React allows us to do is create a variable that can store those three tags, and then all we'd have to do is just insert some data into it and have it display as a custom reusable component on the screen. Okay, so I don't know exactly what Airbnb's code base looks like, but if I were to take a guess, they would probably give it a good descriptive name like Explore Card, because they're saying explore nearby. Okay, and then what they're doing is just passing in little bits of data to make this custom HTML tag flexible. Okay, so now anytime they need to see one of these little cards, they can just use their Explore card as opposed to rewriting those HTML elements all the time. So you can see as your application gets bigger and bigger, you're not going to be dealing with these massive repetitive files, right? We're following the dry principle of don't repeat yourself and avoiding the wet principle, which is writing everything twice or 3 times. Okay, so that's basically what React is and why we should care about it in a nutshell, in case you were wondering. Okay, so what comes next? What do we have to learn in order to do all of this great stuff? Well, there are 3 fundamental building blocks in React. And if you can learn these 3 things, you know React. You can code as a React developer, okay? Those 3 things are components, props, and state. Okay, so if you can conquer these 3 fundamental concepts, you'll be able to build lightning fast and scalable front-end applications, impress all your friends and potential employers, and then all of your wildest dreams will come true. Okay, so if that sounds good to you, then go ahead and stick around and let's conquer these concepts in the upcoming videos.